Hey everybody, it's Christine. Today I'm up with a new page using this month's DoubleShot kit from the Scraproom. Kits were just released today, and this one is also using the Freaky Fast Friday setup, which basically gives you measurements to cut patterned papers to. So they say, like 3 by 5 and 1 by 6.5 and etc. They give you a bunch of different measurements and you cut your patterned papers to those measurements and then just kind of move things around and see how they fit together. So for mine, I cut all of them, but I didn't use quite as many patterned papers. I stuck with only a couple and just shifted those around. So you can see I've got that really pretty plaid one, and then I've got that lighter blue one. And I opted to just mix those two around until I got a layout that I was satisfied with. And you can see it has a lot of white space going on, which is cool. And the pictures are really a strong focal part of it. So I don't typically do the Freaky Fast Friday, but when I get stuck, when I'm feeling a little bit low on creativity, it's a great route to go just to get things moving again mentally. I did want to use a white base, and so I'm cutting it down to 11 by 11, and I'm going to adhere it to the green cardstock that came in this page kit. And then I'm going to start putting everything actually together. What you were seeing initially was how I was just moving things and kind of figuring out how I wanted to lay things out. Now, part of the reason for my color choices was I really liked the green in this, as well as the blue. I felt like they really complemented my pictures. There's also like a really bright reddish orange in this collection, but it just didn't go with the look I was going for. Even with the fact that my husband was wearing a red hat, something about it just wasn't working for me. So I opted to basically eliminate that as an option. So I didn't use the patterned papers that had it in there. I didn't use any of the embellishments that had it in there. And I just really focused in on the white, blues, and greens instead. So you can see a very unique layout for the base here, in that I have some patterned papers up top, I have some patterned papers down below, and then my pictures are going to fall in between the two, bringing the whole thing together. So now I've built up my base. The next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and add some embellishments, add in a title. The page kit itself came with several options for embellishments, and I'm going to actually end up going ahead and using those as well as doing some fussy cutting to create my title. This page kit is part of the DoubleShot kit, which is a 2-page kit. You also have the Flavors of the Month kit, which has 4 more page kits. I said page kits a lot in the last minute. But you get the drift. So this one has photo play. It also has simple stories in the DoubleShot kit this month. So fun options, and the page kits could not be more different. They just have very different feels. So that makes it kind of fun to play with this, as well as the one that you will see in a couple weeks that I created with. Now, I am doing just a little bit of black outlining. The reason for that is I'm going to include some black in my embellishments. In fact, my embellishments are primarily going to be black. And so I am doing the outlining to work that into the rest of my layout, helping to tie the whole thing together and not make it like, what in the world, why does she have the random black embellishments, but there's not black anywhere else? Now, one of the other things that helps with that and tying it together is that dark navy blue that you see in the plaid. That definitely helps to pull all of it together and just make it make a little more sense. There were some really fun ephemera in this page kit, as well as you can see some cut apart cards. And so this one, I'm going to cut out the word dad as well as superhero and use those for my title. This cut apart card specifically also was an inspiration for the layout, and you can see it's got the dark, it's also got the greens and blues and whites, but not the orange. And that, as I looked at it, I initially thought I was going to really build my whole layout around it. It didn't fit great with the big pictures that I had, so I needed to kind of changed my plan. Instead of using it as a full-on cut-apart card, using pieces of it that I cut out. However, like I said, you know, I wanted to leave the orange out, and this was also part of the inspiration on leaving the orange out. So what I'm trying to do now is figure out where I want to place my title pieces and what's going to work just right for that. So you can see I have fussy cut out Superhero now, and I've got that in a place that I'm happy with. I still haven't figured out quite where I'm going to place Dad. But in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and punch out some stars and use those in addition to the pieces of wood stars that came with the page kit to be an accent down there around Superhero and really create a little bit of a cluster look throughout my layout using both bigger stars and little stars. The bigger ones I punched out of that green, and then I'm going to do some little ones out of that light blue patterned paper, and all that just to create a different look. A lot of times when we add little tiny embellishments are circular, but it can be really great when you use it in a different shape, whether it's hearts or triangles or stars or something else that fits. It just changes up the look of the layout just a little bit. And so for this Dad themed layout, stars was absolutely perfect. Now, one thing you'll notice is that I am adding those with liquid adhesive. It's actually my Home and Hobby glue that comes in the dual tip glue pen, but I needed a little bit thinner of a tip. So I added that glue into a fine tip glue bottle. It's just a straight up bottle that comes empty and you can put whatever you want into it. And I like to use that when I'm doing really teeny tiny pieces. A lot of times I don't need the teeny tiny stuff, but this is great for the times that I do. Now I'm going to employ a technique here that you've seen me use before. I like to call it the peekaboo edges, because what I do is I tear out a little tiny bit of an edge and then I tuck some patterned paper underneath it. Now, the reason specifically that I did this is as I was outlining with my black, I just had an oops and I went straight onto the white paper. There was not a great other way to cover it up, so this was a great way to employ something like peekaboo edges. Now, one of the reasons I like to outline early in the process instead of all the way at the end of my layout is so that when I do make mistakes like this, it gives me time to think about how I can fix it, change it, cover that up, because when you do it right at the end and you don't really have anywhere else to go with it, it's kind of a bummer. So yes, every once in a while that happens, but I do try to have that planned in my head and do that at an earlier point in my layout. So there you have it, this month's DoubleShot kits available today. Be sure to head over to the Scraproom, check out all of the kits that she has available for July before they sell out. And thanks for joining me today. We will see you again this weekend with another new video.